Good afternoon, everyone. Our topic for today's lesson is Entity Relationship Model. Entity Relationship Model, ER Model. What are the objectives of this lesson? What are the objectives of this lesson? As the lesson progresses, students should define entity relationship model, list components of entity relationship model, describe entity, attributes, and relationship. Number 4, list types of relationship. Define cardinality and list types of cardinality relationship. What is an entity relationship model? An entity relationship model is an illustration of the various entities in a business and the relationship among them. What are the components of entity relationship model? Number 1, entity. Number 2, attributes. Number 3, relationship. Number 4, entity set. Number 5, relationship set. Out of these 5 components of entity relationship set, the first 3 listed serve as the basic component of entity relationship model, and these are entity, attributes, and relationship. What do you understand by an entity? Before I give the definition of entity, I would like to show you 2 images that represent real objects. This image represents students and it is a real object. This is another image that represents school. This is also a real object. So when you look at students serve as real objects. And these students as attributes. They are features. And features are also attributes. Entity. The attributes of these students, which serve as the features of these students, serve as the attributes of a particular entity, because entity is a real object. So these students serve as entity and their features serve as the attributes. What are the attributes of these students? Student has roll number, student has surname, student has first name, student belongs to a state, and the students also belong to a particular class. So all these are attributes of an entity. From this, we can derive our table from this. You can see that all these serve as what? Attributes. So getting our table from this is a sample table. The name of this table is students. This table consists of 3 rows, and the row is the same thing as record, which is the same thing as entity. Entity is the same thing as row, and it's also the same thing as record. This table also consists of column. We have several columns. The name of that column, the name of that cell is attribute, which is the same thing as column, and it can also be called field. Attribute, column, and field. When you look at this table properly, we can see that several entity consists of several columns, or we can say entity consists of several attributes. That means we can see two or more attributes in an entity. What do you understand by entity? What is an entity? An entity is a real object that exists physically and is distinguishable from other objects. For example, employee, department, students, customer, vehicle, account. What are attributes? Attributes are features or specific an entity has. A key attribute is the unique that help distinguish every entity from another. For example, the attributes of a student will be roll number, name, class, and so on. Primary key is always the key attribute of entity relationship model. What do you understand by relationship? Relationship is an association or bond that exists between one or more entities. The bond between them, the association between them. For example, employee belongs to a department. Belongs to serve as relationship between employee and a department. Employee works in the account department. Works in serve as the relationship between employee and department. The team member works for the manager. Works for serve as the relationship between the team member and the manager. A teacher teaches subject. Teaches serve as the relationship between a teacher and the subject. What is entity set? An entity set is collection of similar entities. For example, the students of a school collectively form an entity set called student entity set. In this case, when you have two or more entity and they will form an entity set. What is relationship set? Relationship set is a collection of similar relationships between two or more entity sets. Types of relationship. These are the basic types of relationship. Number one, self-relationship, binary relationship, and ternary relationship. We also have other types of relationship. As the lesson progresses, we are going to name them one by one. What is cardinality? Cardinality can be defined as the number of entity an entity is associated with. Take note of number. You can see that cardinality is talking about relationship because relationship serve as the bond or association between two entities. Now, cardinality is also talking about that bond. It's talking about the association, but the association in terms of number. How many of this is associated with number of this? Is 1 being associated with 10? Is 1 be associated with 20? Or 20 be associated with 20? That is what cardinality is talking about, the number. What are the types of cardinality relationship? Earlier, we talked about types of relationship. And that relationship that I mentioned earlier serve as the basic types of relationship. But when you are asked to list types of relationship according to the mapping cardinality or types of cardinality relationship, one, we have one-to-one relationship. Two, we have one-to-many relationship. Three, we have many-to-one relationship. And four, we have many-to-many relationship. We are going to look at this one by one. What do you understand by one-to-one relationship? This kind of relationship exists when an entity of one entity set can be associated with only one entity of another entity set. For example, the relationship between a vehicle and its registration number, that is, one vehicle to one registration number. Yes. Have you ever seen a vehicle with two registration number? No. So this relationship is one-to-one relationship. One-to-many relationship. This kind of relationship exists when an entity of one entity set can be associated with more than one entity of another entity set. For example, the relation between a customer and the customer's vehicle. A customer can have more than one vehicle. Yes, one customer can have more than one vehicle. Yes. So the relationship is one-to-many relationship according to the mapping cardinality. What do you understand by many-to-one relationship? This kind of relationship exists when many entities of one entity set is associated with an entity of another entity set. For example, the relation between a vehicle and its manufacturer. Every vehicle has only one manufacturing company. That is many-to-one relationship. Every vehicle has only one manufacturing company. Yes. Taking for example, Toyota company. We can have several models of Toyota, but all these are being manufactured by one company. So many-to-one relationship. What do you understand by many-to-many relationship? Many-to-many relationship. This kind of relationship exists when any number of entity of one entity set can be associated with another number of entities of another entity set. For example, the relation between a bank customer and customer's account. Thank you. God bless you. That is the end of the lesson. Thank you.